Last presentation of our tools and demos that we are sharing with you this afternoon and which would spark conversations. This morning we already had a panel on innovative learning programs, but Alexandra Corré is going to tell us more about what we do. Alex?
Merci. Hello, and thank you. Thank you for sticking around until this late hour, the last day of the fair. My name is Alexandra Corré. In case you're wondering why my English is so great, I am a Canadian living in Italy, currently visiting in Paris. Very happy to be here today. And we have a first slide to bring up with the title of this talk. I loved Elvis's idea of a slide about him. I did not prepare that. I'm not just a person who does communications for SEDEX TCBL, works with Frederic, who organized this wonderful day. But I actually have a PhD in art history, so I have an academic background. And perhaps that's why I'm particularly interested in seeing how what we do in these projects can be applied in the classroom or can be taken and given to SMEs and given them opportunities to learn from the knowledge that we've gathered in a lot of these research projects that we participate in. And so let's move on. I guess this green button does that. So what I'd like to know is how many companies, a show of hands, how many small, medium enterprises, how many companies, designers. There's some designers, there's some companies. Are you a designer? Are you a company? Okay, we've got a few companies here. Those of you who are not companies, what are you doing here? With what you do you think that you could possibly be more innovative? Can you be doing a better job? Can you be more relevant? Can you be more sustainable? Can you make more money? You always want that, but you always want to do it the right way. So there are some opportunities to do that, and one of the ways to get better at anything, of course, is upskilling, what they say, so kind of that informal education, perhaps upskilling, which at its best will bring new knowledge. It will give you and your staff all sorts of fresh ideas, and they'll start coming up with all these, hopefully, innovative solutions. You may, if you upskill your staff, you may reduce your errors and thus produce something that is higher quality. Your employees might be more fulfilled, and so they'll stick around for longer, and then you'll be more competitive as a business. So upskilling, fantastic. I've just sold you on 1 million courses, but, of course, takes time and takes money. And so especially if you're a small company, you may hesitate to run out and get a whole lot of upskilling courses for your staff. You may find that the formal options out there are a little bit inflexible. They might not be available during working hours that's useful to you. You might also have some doubts that people are actually retaining what you've paid to have them learn, and that is often the case. So what you might be looking for is something that is short, specific, tailored to you, so relevant to you, and specifically retainable, maybe coming to you in a format that people will be able to take home and actually apply to their jobs. So I'm part of the TCBL network. We are a nonprofit association, the TCBL Association, that has a whole group of innovators who work together on all sorts of sustainable textile and clothing themes. And also through our sister company, the SEDEX TCBL, we work on a lot of projects. And also our people in our network also work on a number of interesting projects in sustainability. And through this network, these people, first of all, are all great people to get to know, and through them you may find interesting partnerships and people to really concretely develop something new with. But also through our networks, there's been a lot of really great resources produced. So what we've done is we've taken a look at what some of the people we know have produced. And what I found is that a lot of these courses are free, or resources are free online. And they're on some of the themes that you see on the screen. So you have some of the things that we've seen today through Letitia of creative idea generation. There's a lot of great business and entrepreneurship advice, marketing, e-commerce, and that kind of thing. Useful resources on how to develop local collaboration, some of which, from a social point of view, we've seen with Elvis. Sustainable textile production at all sorts of different levels, information about biotextiles, like what we've seen here, and we'll take a quick look again with Hereware, digital transition, and also the very important EU legislation, which companies are certainly struggling with to understand where they stand and how can they better approach the EU market. So most of these things that we're going to be looking at today are funded by EU projects, and they come from partners or members of the TCBL Association who provide these things for free online, but also can help you customize a learning route for you if that's what you're looking for in your company. So when Frederica and I were talking about how to possibly present you with this wealth of resources, I was thinking, well, what I'll do is I'll just group them together by the type of skill that you can learn. But what we realized is there's a lot of projects that don't just teach one skill, but they'll cover a whole lot of things. So what we've done is we've created this resource matrix. So here you see the logos of a series of things that I'm just going to go into with one slide afterwards. But the kinds of resources that we can look at may be very operational. They may give you quite specific information, so operational and specific. They may be providing you strategic information, high-level strategic suggestions. They may be completely on the specific side, but also strategic, such as being a small business. Or they may take you into something that is fully systemic, and that might try to overhaul entire communities. So this is going to provide a framework for our exploration, not in a particularly rigid way. But the first project that I'd like to tell you about is Vitrine. And if you caught the roundtables earlier this morning, Christina, who's kindly making a video of me right now in orange, did talk a little bit about some of the learning resources that we've developed with the Green Vitrine course. But this is a fantastic course. There's 5 chapters. And it is a course that's available in 7 languages. It was developed for vet education, so vocational training, but it's also perfectly adaptable to an SME context. And it's done in a totally flexible way. So anyone for free can register, take any part of these chapters online, so you can go through sustainable apparel production methods. There's quite a detailed piece on textile engineering. There's something produced by Santex Bell, who opened our talk today. There's a chapter on entrepreneurship with useful information there, and also a very practical chapter on the digital product passport. We have a video, if the regie will kindly play it for me. So on vitrine.eu, if you're interested in taking that course, you can look for the Green Vitrine page, register for the course, and if you take the entire course and pass the quizzes, you can also get a certificate, which means this is something you can propose to your entire staff or to your value chain just to get everybody aligned. Another project that comes from our member CITEV is AdTex. And this is an interesting project because it's about the transition in 3 themes. So you have the smart transition, digital transition, and green transition. But it's not just sort of made at one level. It's actually been customized to 3 levels. So the sort of same information can be taken through an entire company, and tarried, let's say, to the interest and specific working needs of technicians, engineers, and managers. So you have basically 3 topics and multiple units for each of these. And it really goes into quite a bit of depth on things like data acquisition, industrial control systems, robotics, if that's, thinking of just the digital transition course. This is a quite high-level course. This one actually doesn't come from a TCBL member, but this comes through a group that we're associated with called EcoSystex, where a lot of projects exchange best practices. And this one is great if you are a small brand and you are looking at going into e-commerce. Since I have a lot of friends who are designer producers, and they're always like, I have to do everything. I have to make the product. I have to be a photographer and the social media expert, and I have to make the website or control my web designer. So this is a course that can teach you to do those things, because a lot of the time we see that very small companies don't have the resources and the people to support them or the way to learn about these things. So this is Skills for Retail, provides a course on that I think is very useful. With regards to management, and this is also something that is very useful for startups, for designers, but also for employees, perhaps in management offices in a smaller, medium enterprise. This course that comes from a project called Techo Fashion comes to us thanks to our TCBL member, Lotto Zero. There are 3 modules here, and each of these modules has multiple types of information. So it's nice because it's quite multimedial. There is video, there's text, there's quizzes, there's questions to reflect about what you can learn in each of the modules. You have sustainable digital production processes, digital management of a fashion company, and then the social modules, which would address some of the types of social issues that we heard about just now. This is a project that Elvis also, one of the last projects that Elvis mentioned, we were partners together in this one, and She Makes was a life-changing project for me personally, and I think also for a lot of women, we were very affected by this project that was there to empower women in the textile and clothing industry by giving us the opportunity to get hands-on with innovation. So how can you work with laser cutters? How can you think about modular construction, playing with smart textiles, and can you make natural dyes from avocados that you like your avocado toast, but you can do more with that. This is a very operational project, and it has quite operational resources that came out of it. So out of She Makes, there's a learning hub on which there are numerous resources, and these are actually divided by age group, because in this project we worked with children as young as 8 years old and people all through all stages of their careers. So we also have a video, which is basically me in the video, but I'll do the short version.
Welcome, future innovators. I want to show you the She Makes Open Toolkit, a rich resource to bring gender parity and innovation to the textile and clothing sector. Follow me. In the past 2 years, we've created over 70 activities, tested by labs in 16 different countries. We made e-monsters to introduce kids to e-textiles and created fabric from food waste. We learned to use machines and tools, but also to spin our own wool. And we held networking events and worked on career skills targeted specifically to the needs of women. Check out the learning section of our website and pick the activity you're interested in, which will lead you to the She Makes Toolkit, including step-by-step instructions, photos, downloadable presentations, and pamphlets. It's free and online for anyone who wants to use it to contribute to broadening gender diversity in tech-heavy fields and to increase skills and knowledge in sustainability and innovation for the textile industry. They're for you to retain, revise, reuse, remix, and redistribute. Get started today at shemakes.eu/learning.
certainly sharing, making everything open, making everything accessible and changeable and retainable. These are our priorities in sharing everything with you. These activities, is this working okay? I feel like it's less, oh, there we go. These activities are part of what we would call train the trainers. So a lot of the activities that you can see within She Makes is actually there so that laboratories or labs, what we call often fab labs working within textiles, can take them up and then apply them within their own communities, making sort of general concepts available on a local basis. And this connection with the Fab Lab community and with labs takes us to Fabricademy, which I'm showing here is actually not a project, and this is not free. But Fabricademy is an institution that was developed by some of the labs that are TCBL members. And this is interesting in that if the kind of things that we were doing in She Makes, the kind of experiments were there designed to enhance our exposure to innovation, enhance our creativity, Fabricademy takes that one step closer with the possibility of doing a 6-month intensive program in a distributed fashion. So working, some of the material is taught online throughout various laboratories, but then hands-on things are actually done in single cities. And what they do is they intersect digital fabrication with textiles and biology. And I have to say that the projects that I've seen coming out of this project, of this program, are very, very innovative indeed. So what this program does is it trains the kind of people that you might want in your company, because those people have this mindset to think, what is the kind of next cool thing we can do to be more competitive? And I'm not selling Fabricademy. I don't get a bonus or anything from them, but I do want to say that they have a 1-week boot camp that is a way to sample that, and that could kind of be a fun corporate prize. But there's your information there about Fabricademy. And the Fab Lab community really does produce a lot of very innovative open source material. Some of this, and this, we're heading into the sort of more still operational things that we're looking at. When you want to continue talking about innovation and experimentation, this platform called Distributed Design that comes from two of our very active TCBL labs. There's a lot of information here, and it covers a wide range. But I think of the material here that might be most interesting to a small or medium enterprise in the textile industry would be that they have a masterclass on distributed design. And this has elements of ICT technology that can teach you more about digital manufacturing and digital design, so such as microfactories, which I guess we heard a little bit about before with Mitvel. So this is another platform with a whole lot of resources. I forgot to say that if you aren't photographing all these slides, but you do want to get these, TCBL sends out a monthly newsletter that Frederic and I work on to sort of capture all the highlights of the month. And we're going to have an article about this. So if you go to the website, I kind of want you all to pull out your phones right now and go to tcbl.eu. and sign up for the newsletter on the homepage, because you're going to get a summary of this and other highlights of the show. Thank you, brief advertising moment. But so if you didn't get it all, you'll get it in written version. I was looking through the fantastic material that came from Regio Green Text, which is the project that Elvis showed us a longer video of. And I wish I understood it better, because there is so much in Regio Green Text. It seems like there's a lot of different kinds of information. But this is a really, really high-level course. So I picked this one out to highlight for you, in that this is a course designed for textile professionals and agri-food experts. So we're working on a circular economy here, very high-end course with 4 modules that goes from the why to the how of developing bio-based materials. So here we're looking at something strategic, that is the idea of moving towards bio-based, but also quite specific on biotextiles. On the strategic and specific form, the idea of remaining a small business is behind the project called Small But Perfect that TCBL member SOFA Social Fashion Factory brought us. They're based in Athens. And this is another resource that's out there for startups and for designers and micro businesses that just gives you some of the basics, and basics like how to do your to get people to pay your invoices, how to develop a circular business model, and how to extend the lifetime of your product. So things that may be basic if you've already got a business, but if you're just getting started, this is very useful. And it also looks at sort of this concept of, do we want to grow, or can we be better? Can we do something better if we are smaller and working on a local scale, which is something that we're very interested in here at TCBL. Regio GreenTex as well has a whole resource hub, and here there's a huge variety, so it's something that's kind of worth diving into. But two things that I thought were very interesting is that there is a series of webinars on things like circularity, systemic change, and legislations, as well as AI. And so going through these bits of information, you could compose your own learning or training program. But it also has an entire database of the partners and other members who've contributed to this project, so you can go and sort of look them up and see if perhaps if you like their webinar, you can work with them to develop further training for your company. And also a very nice case study that came out of this, which is the value circle rather than the idea of value chain, which really is not just about semantics. And they have a very nice video and case study published about that. We do love talking about HereWare, which you have displayed on the posters here, but this is about being bio-based, local, and circular. This is a project that addresses the concept of being bio-based, local, and circular from a systemic point of view. So you're looking at something that is a strategic choice, but it's something that also needs to involve all levels of your community, from contacting the farmer, finding out what's being wasted, figuring out what local legislations are, can you use that waste, and then working with people like Willem at Santex Bell, who will tell you how you can spin and extrude hay to make a dress after talking with the appropriate designer and working with the appropriate design tools. So this is something that is extremely systemic. It takes a lot of layers. This is a dress coming from the HereWare project that I'm going to turn it around here, but you should come up afterwards and feel this. Very interesting because it is made from hay, from the leftovers of hay. But it's really, really soft, and it's also it was very inspiring for the designers. So part of the strategy of working in bio-based is thinking, well, what are the new possibilities here, and how does that change the way that I'm going to design something, or the way that I'm going to use it or post-use it. So in HereWare, we have also a video for this, just 1 second before we do it. There is a resource hub that is at the address you can see on the screen, and this contains numerous guides on all sorts of different levels with the generative tools that we saw coming from UAL, and all sorts of replicable information that comes from what we learned about technologies. So you don't have to start from zero, but you can start having already learned from what we've learned and move towards being more bio-based, local, and circular. Quick video, please. No, we don't have that video. Too bad. That was a nice video, but that's okay. We have it up on screens in our booth. No video. If you're French, you probably already know about this platform. Who here is French?
Hello.
Hello. So he's French. Great. Okay. So do you know this platform? This is a fantastic one. When I found this, I said, I want to make a resource hub like this. But this is a very systemic platform that is a multi-stakeholder project by French authorities. And it has been made to support the circular economy, implementing and specifically the EPR in the TCLF industry, so also homeware, also footwear. And there's a huge amount of information here. It started with just the public-facing platform, how the community, how could regular consumers be better consumers? Where can they recycle? Where can they bring their clothes for being repaired? But they recently launched their Pro section. So the Refashion Pro website is a huge resource with all sorts of information. And there's a lot of variety here. So some are just sort of single sheets, but there's also sort of what they're calling their eco-design cheat sheets. And they have I think, very insightful types of information, like how can I align my personnel with my sustainability choices, which I thought was really clever. So you can tell from, and I'm not at the back end of this, but I could tell looking at the resources that they're clearly working with SMEs and working with the community and seeing what people need and making sure that they've provided that information. There's also a platform in here to assist recyclers. So there's a very great variety. And if you are an SME working in France, this platform is absolutely made for you. But if you're not in France, it's also got a section that's translated into English, and it's a really very interesting resource indeed, very well organized. The last project that I want to tell you about today is Fabrics, and we actually opened with Fabrics this morning. We're closing with Fabrics, and it's been up reminding us sort of all day. This is a current EU-funded project that we, SEDEX TCBL, are one of the partners. And what this project does is we're encouraging industrial symbiosis to increase the level of circularity in urban areas. And we're doing this through a digital platform that is just in beta mode right now, as well as through community activities where we're engaging local SMEs, making sure that they're getting the skills that they need to, and then the networking and introducing people. So you say, you know, I want to make garments entirely in Athens, in Greece, and we're giving them the means by which to do that. So we see that the value chain in certain areas, in a lot of areas, is really very much broken. I think you all know this. So what this project does is it tries to sew that back together by finding, yes, there is someone who still makes zippers in Athens. And you know, so you making your bags out of recycled material or out of offcuts from somebody else's business, you can also make that with a zipper locally. And so in this way, can we reduce the number of kilometers that something travels? Can we make products that are entirely local? And we believe that it's possible. So we're testing this in 2 pilot cities, in Athens and in Rotterdam. And if you were here at the very beginning this morning, you will have heard from Carol that Rotterdam is an absolutely huge port city through which also a lot of recycled textiles, or textiles, let's say, getting ready to be recycled, go through. So they do provide for some very interesting case studies. And you have here a very sneak preview from inside this platform that we're developing now. The idea is that we'll be testing it in these 2 cities and then hopefully making it available also to other cities. So this is something that is useful to urban planners, to city administrators, as well as to all the SMEs who can get on the platform and meet each other and improve their business by creating strong partnerships. So we have, on the one hand here, an image of the ecosystem. What you're seeing here is some of the companies that we've mapped in Rotterdam. And you can filter them by type. So if you know what you're looking for, if you are a designer but you really need to find sustainable textiles, who's producing textiles in your area, you can find them here. Who is an interested retailer? Well, you can also find them here and contact them and see if they match your interests and your needs. There is also the ability to sort of see where you stand. So what we see is that in order to improve, we need to take stock of where we are at any point of our lives and our businesses. So in the Fabrics platform, we have a series of questionnaires through which you can see how you're standing in environmental management, on environmental design, and based on the feedback, based on your score, essentially, from this, we'll be giving you customized feedback and leading you towards learning resources. And so whether or not you're if you're not from Rotterdam or Athens, either way, there's going to be a learning hub here. And this is something that I am currently working on designing with the partnership. And we're speaking with also the companies and what we call facilitators, these kind of meta figures who organize the companies. And we're trying to find out what companies really need, what are the kind of resources they need, and we're making sure that these go into this platform and this learning hub so that we can help increase the level of circularity. Even from very basic things like explaining what is a circular economy, what is industrial symbiosis, but also going back to why we should be doing that and how and what are the steps that we can do to achieve these things. And the learning hub is going to be sort of a one-stop shop, very intuitive. It's going to look just like the mock-up here. Sadly, still a mock-up, but we're gonna get there. And if you are in our newsletter, you will hear about it. You'll be the first to hear about it. If you are in Athens or Rotterdam, or if you know anybody in your ecosystem in Athens or Rotterdam, if you want to share this on LinkedIn, you'd be doing us a huge favor. We actually currently have an open call for SMEs and independent designers as well, located in those cities, and they can get a grant of 5,000 euros to just help us test the platform and get started with this community and build this community, because that's really what we're about. We're about building communities, getting people to share their knowledge, being open and sharing similar values, because we all believe that the way forward is, yes, also bio-based, local, and circular. And certainly it is not looking back, but innovating and seeing what we can do next that's going to be better and make us more competitive. That is it.
Thank you very much, Alexandra. No. You stay on stage. You stay on stage, because I believe that there are many questions which are going to be raised after this spectacular presentation. A couple of key insights, however, is, we tend to use learning rather than training, because we believe that it is an ongoing process between the different people who are participating to the learning experience, and also learning is a more dynamic way of where do you sit now and where do you want to go later. There is also, as you have seen, there is a great diversity of learning projects. So everything that we do is that we have project-based, personalized outcomes, results, resources that you can go through. Therefore, they are not standard. They are not the copy-paste of what you've seen somewhere else. They are really dedicated to the actual projects that we are conducting. The third thing, which is the third insight I wanted to reshare with you, is that we believe strongly that there can be a personalized situation, which means that the learner, they know a few things, they don't know other things. So what we have to provide them is to help them to catch up on what they don't know and what they should know to go a step forward into the development of their businesses. And last but not least, I'm repeating the interesting thing for you to, if you know people in Athens or in Rotterdam, there is a call for SMEs to participate. There is a lot to learn if they enter that community, so please do not hesitate to go and have a look at this call. Questions?
Hello.
All the way off the regie, so they will kick me off.
Okay,
Yes.
just question, because I check every website, just finish by .au, It means just in Europe, or you work around the world too?
Excellent question. So most of the projects that we're working with have the goal of increasing competitivity in Europe, but the information that we're providing can, of course, be used by anybody. And the TCBL Association is not just limited to Europe. Many of our members are in Europe, but not all of them. For example, at our stand here in Avantex, we have, I don't know, Shabadia Wool, who is from Jordan. So I think she's monitoring her stand, but you can certainly talk to her about that. So no, we're absolutely open to the rest of the world and believe that these innovations can be shared openly and that we can also help sort of spread the word beyond Europe and into the world. You agree?
Also, the inspiring stories that we are telling you today, we can also propose these inspiring stories to other people who locally will be more than, ready to duplicate them and to replicate them. Our strategy is not to go and, to every country, but our strategy is to help people who are in different countries maybe to get more inspired and develop something which would be a replication of what we do, but with their own constraints, with their languages, with their textile and clothing industry, with their traditions, with their craftsmanship available, etc., etc.
Okay, just because I born in France. I'm French, but I have origin from Africa, and also I live in Los Angeles. And I was working as, like I say, a producer manager, and I saw a lot of waste about fabric, wasting about everything, and I quit my job. And now I do, because of that. And now I do and help, and I do coaching, managing for young people from, they are 15-year-old, and we start last year, create and learn how to make your own business, but make sure you don't waste too much fabric or waste. You can do upcycling and recycling, and I guess next year we try to do again, and they make some award to make sure young people have conscience about wasting everything is not good for the environment. That's
Superb.
Thank you.
Absolutely. The Vitrine project would be perfect for your students. And there's also a project that I didn't include, but it's called Refashionized. So Refashionized project, and I think it's just refashionized.eu, that has some very cute resources, but they're really designed for high school students. So I didn't bring that in today, but it actually has an app and all sorts of kind of very engaging digital tools. So there are a number of things out there also for that age group, and congratulations on quitting your job. Good job.
Yeah. No other questions? Yes, no? Listen, we wanted to thank you for having participated to that day. So we prepared a small cocktail for networking. And this cocktail will happen, I believe, there. So please join us and have a couple of drinks with us to end that beautiful day together.
Thank you, Frederic, and an applause also to Frederic for organizing so many talks and so many people. Great job.